Dante saw Jerusalem as the pole.
Yes, but beyond the specific Judaic view, the center becomes symbolic. Secondary centers reflect the supreme one. Sion is a subordinate center resembling the supreme one.
And Holy Land means land of the living.
Synonymous, abode of immortality. Applies first to terrestrial paradise, then secondarily to centers like Israel. The 7 lands of Canaan linked to the 7 Dwipas continents around Meru, and the 7 Manasses eras resemble the 7 kings of Edom.
Okay, that leads us nicely to Luz, or the abode of immortality.
Right. This widespread idea of an underground world. The cult of caverns connects to an inner or central place, symbolism of the caves, the heart, and Guenon accepts there were actual underground initiation centers.
But located symbolically, not just for secrecy.
Exactly. A definite symbolic order dictated their placement. He focuses on the Jewish tradition of Luz.
Jacob's dream. Bethel, house of God.
That's the place. A mysterious town the angel of death couldn't enter, near the Persian Alborg, the abode of immortality.
And the almond tree.
An almond tree, also called Luz in Hebrew, had a hollow leading to the hidden town. The word Luz itself comes from a root meaning covered, concealed, silent, secret.
Like ancient words for heaven.
Exactly. Kolam, Kalem, Varuna, from var to cover, Greek Uranus. It links the celestial world and the underground world, especially when tradition goes dark, isn't manifested openly.
Luz as the blue city.
Yes, blue being the celestial color. Relates to the Indian idea of the sky's blue being Meru's reflection, Meru made of sapphire. Jambudvipa is the world south of Meru, the North Pole in this model.
And the 7 Dwipas around Meru.
Form a lotus shape, each reflecting a rainbow color. White is the symphysis, the color of supreme spiritual authority. Meru is the white mountain, the unmoving center, though the world's orientation changes around it.
Luz is indestructible.
Linked to the imperishable Akshara syllable, Om, the essence of the Vedas. Similar ideas in Taoism, the egg of the world holding future potential.
How does Kundalini fit?
Kundalini rising to the third eye is restoring the primordial state, the sense of eternity, a kind of virtual immortality. Rising to the crown is conquering higher states.
So the lower position of Luz in the body
Corresponds to its state in fallen man, and also to the supreme center being in the underground world during dark times. It connects that Hermetic saying, visita interior terrae, vitriol.
Visit the interior of the earth, leading to the philosopher's stone, the elixir.
The drink of immortality, exactly. Which leads us to think about this center being concealed during the Kali Yuga.
So Agartha wasn't always hidden underground.
Guenon says no, and it won't remain so. There's a prophecy of its emergence. Its withdrawal, he estimates, more than 6,000 years ago, marks the start of the Kali Yuga, our current Dark Age or Iron Age.
And its reappearance marks the end.
Coincides with the end of this period, yes. This whole idea of something lost or hidden, found in all traditions, reflects humanity's state in the Kali Yuga obscuration, confusion.
Making it necessary for initiatory knowledge to be hidden. Mysteries, secret societies.
Exactly. But Guenon adds a crucial point. These groups only offer real initiation if they keep an authentic link to the original doctrine. Break that conscious connection to the supreme center, and they become shadows. Especially secondary centers lose that direct link.
He mentions historical turning points, Westphalia.
Critical phases, yeah. He suggests a major rupture might have occurred around the Treaties of Westphalia, 1648, into the 30 Years' War. Notes the reported departure of Rosicrucians to Asia, then remember their 12 members mirroring Agartha's council.
So after that, effective initiation in the West was lost.
That's Guenon's argument. He sowed Swedenborg believing the lost word was with sages in Tibet and Tartary, and he's quite critical of Madame Blavatsky's Great White Lodge, calling it a caricature of Agartha.
But the Supreme Center itself remains inaccessible.
The Supreme Country, real, but inaccessible, beyond cataclysms, like terrestrial paradise, known by many names, Meru, Alborg, Montsalvat, Kaf, Olympus, always representing that fixed, symbolic polar axis.
Which brings us to the omphalos, another symbol of the center.
Right, Greek for navel, umbilical, or hub of a wheel. Related words everywhere. Sanskrit nabi, Germanic Celtic nab, Gaelic nad even means chief or god.
The hub connects to the world as a wheel.
Turning around a fixed point, yes. The swastika, Guenon says, represents the principle's action on the world, not just the world itself.
And the omphalos stone was placed at the spiritual center, like Delphi.
Delphi was the spiritual center for ancient Greece, yes. Sometimes geographical, sometimes purely symbolic. Roscher studied them widely, though Guenon felt he took the surface location too literally.
What forms do the omphalos take?
Could be a pillar, like Jacob's pillar. Maybe Celtic menhirs used for oracles, the house of God, the center of the world. Could be conical, like Cybele's black stone, representing the sacred mountain, the pole. Or ovoid, the egg of the world. Or even a mound, a tumulus, like China's ancient earth pyramid.
Ireland seems important here too.
Very. It's 5 kingdoms, with Mide, middle, at the center. And within Mide, we sneak to the exact center, navel of the earth, stone of divisions. Where boundaries met, assemblies were held, like Delphi's and Ficans or Druid gatherings.
Ireland as island of the Four Masters.
Holding that ancient legacy, yeah. Possibly linked to an older northern center, Ogygia or Thule, maybe a vanished supreme center. There's a parallel in the Taoist text. Emperor Yao visits 4 masters, real men in a primordial state.
Or the Four Masters as cardinal points.
Another interpretation, 4 Maharajas at the cardinal points,
Right.
elements, with a 5th supreme master, ether akasha quintessence, in the center on the sacred mountain. Similar ideas found in Central America too.
Okay, let's talk about the names and representations of these centers. Tula, Thule.
Tula, the Greek Thule. Another name for the supreme country, maybe older than Paradesia, possibly the Isle of the Four Masters. The name appears in Russia, Central America, likely seats of past spiritual power derived from the primordial Tula.
The Mexican Tula came from.
The Toltecs, who came from Aztlan, land in the middle of the water linked to Atlantis. They brought the name. But this Atlantean Tula is different from the Hyperborean Tula.
Hyperborean Tula.
The first, the supreme center for our current Manvantara, the archetypal sacred isle at the literal North Pole. All other sacred isles are just images of it.
And Tula means balance in Sanskrit.
The balance, scales, like Libra. Chinese tradition links heavenly balance to the great bear key polar symbolism. Libra is the sign of judgment. Justice, so another name for the supreme spiritual center.
Tula is also the White Island.
Yes, white for spiritual authority. Aztlan in America means White Mountain, originally representing that Hyperborean Tula, the polar mountain. India has Shweta, the White Isle in the north, abode of the blessed, land of the living.
Mountain of the Sun, too.
Equivalent to Meru, the White Mountain, often depicted with a green belt sea and a light triangle at the peak.
And White Isle could apply to lesser centers, too.
Yes, not just the supreme one. Think of place names like Albion, Albania, Albalonga, Argos, all suggesting whiteness.
So the image is often an island with a mountain.
Represents stability, transcendence amidst the sea of passions of the outer world. Crossing that sea to reach the Mount of Salvation, the sanctuary of peace.
Okay, so finally, the actual location of these centers. It's complicated.
Very. Guenon suggests the supreme country might have had successive locations over different cycles within our Manvantara. There's a hierarchy, an order, determining these positions, mirroring how traditional forms adapt from the primordial one.
And the confusion comes from secondary centers.
Subsidiary centers reflecting the main one, yes. They exist simultaneously and are often more visible, leading to confusion, like Lhasa resembling Agartha, or Rome resembling Jerusalem, which itself reflects Salem.
This is sacred geography.
With precise laws governing these placements. Think of Delphi's role for Greece. Or the city named Thebes, Greek Thebai, cognate with Hebrew Theba, Noah's Ark.
The Ark as another symbol of the center.
Yes. Preserving the tradition in a veiled state during a transition between cycles, a cataclysm. Noah's role is like the Hindu Manu Satyavradavivaswada. The flood story and the Hindu deluge mark different but analogous cycles within the Manvantara.
The Ark symbolizes the covenant.
Between God and creatures, yeah.
Yeah.
Floating on lower waters while the rainbow, promise, order restored, appears in higher waters. Ark and rainbow are inverse. Complementary together, they form a circle, a vertical slice of the egg of the world.
And the horizontal cut is paradise with 4 rivers.
Exactly. But at the end of the cycle, the reconstitution involves celestial Jerusalem, described as a square, not a circle.
Squaring the circle.
In Hermeticism, yeah. Sphere to cube upon completion. Balance. And the tree of life is at the center of both paradise and celestial Jerusalem, bearing 12 fruits.
So bringing it all together, what are the main conclusions?
Well, the evidence across so many traditions seems undeniable, doesn't it? There's this concept of an archetypal holy land.
The prototype for all others.
Right. The spiritual center to which all others are subordinate. Call it land of saints, land of the blessed, land of the living, land of immortality, Plato's pure land.
And it usually exists in an invisible world.
Analogous to spiritual hierarchies or degrees of initiation, yes. It's not typically just a place on a map.
Especially now in the Kali Yuga.
In this age, this holy land, though defended by guardians and maintaining some exterior communication, is largely inaccessible, invisible, except to those qualified.
And the literal versus symbolic location.
Guenon argues they aren't mutually exclusive. Geographical and historical facts have symbolic validity. That gives them a higher meaning beyond just the surface reality, like multiple layers of meaning in sacred texts leading to a whole synthesis.
So history is temporal symbolism, geography is spatial symbolism.
And they correlate, which explains why the spiritual center's location might shift across different periods.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, it really feels like there's this persistent thread, doesn't it? Across cultures, across time.
Absolutely, this idea of a central spiritual authority, a sacred, often hidden center, symbolized by figures like Manu, Metatron, Melchizedek, places like Agartha, Luz.
And while, yeah, some of the surface details can seem fantastical,
they really point towards something profound, don't they? About humanity's connection maybe to some primordial wisdom, a spiritual reality beyond just the material.
it leaves you thinking, doesn't it? What does it mean that this idea, the Lord of the world, the supreme spiritual center, has persisted for so long in so many places?
It's a great question to ponder, even if it's not, a literal spot on a map you can visit. What does its enduring presence tell us about that human search? For meaning, for order, for a connection to something bigger?
Could these ancient ideas offer a different lens on things today, on authority even?
Perhaps. It definitely gives you a different perspective to consider.
We'd certainly encourage you, the listener, to maybe explore Guénon's work more, and this incredibly rich symbolism we've only really scratched the surface of today.
Absolutely. This deep dive is just the start, really. It could be a fascinating journey, intellectually and maybe even spiritually.